First of all, congratulations. You made it to the end of the day on day 2. It's been a lot of really good content the last 2 days. I don't get to sit in, unfortunately, in pretty much any of the sessions and hear what everyone's talking about since I'm dealing with all the logistics and running through all the rooms, but have had a lot of good feedback. I've already heard from a lot of people in terms of content. A lot's already up on LinkedIn. If you're following me on LinkedIn, we've been recapping some of the sessions as well. I already have all of the video archives from yesterday, which is great, and I've been going through those real quickly and taking a look. Video quality looks really good, so thanks to Mobion for that. I'll get those up as quickly as we can, maybe even by this weekend. So I will send out an email. Personally, I have the entire registration list. I'll just let you know that the videos are online. I won't be sending out a survey of any kind. I tend to find those don't really work well, right? Rating things 1 through 10. I don't know the difference between a 6 or a 7. So I just think that's poor methodology. So any feedback you're willing to give, I'd love to hear it. Positive, negative. We already made a list of a lot of things we want to correct for next year and just improve upon. Unfortunately, things like the temperature are things we can't control in the room. It's very difficult. I don't know why it got so cold here in the afternoons. But we're going to continue to improve upon the show every single year. So last session of the day, what I want to do here, this may not be an hour long either. So a little bit of background. I would say over the last probably 2 decades, probably 20 years, I've been helping place individuals inside corporations in our industry, free of charge. So many times companies will reach out to me, sometimes executives, C-level executives, but many times recruiters at companies and say, hey, there's 3 or 4 positions that we're looking to fill. We haven't found the right people. Who might you know? Can you highlight this position on LinkedIn? So you'll notice a lot of times I notice positions that are open and I highlight it on LinkedIn and push it out to the community. The last one I did that for was Netflix. They opened up some positions on their live engineering team since they're doing live streaming now. So as a result, I talk to a lot of recruiters. I talk to a lot of executives. And then I hear from a lot of professionals in the industry who are looking for help, whether it's the resume, LinkedIn, what I think of certain companies. Do I think they're going to make it? Do they have the money to continue to grow and raise? So I'm constantly looking at data points in the industry. I don't know how many, honestly, but I look through a couple hundred resumes a year that I get individually from people. 9 out of 10 of those, or probably 99%, have really a lot of problems in them. And that's what I'm here to talk about today, is what you need to do to get your message above the noise. There's a lot of people out there looking for jobs or advancing their career. How do you stand out above a lot of others? Sending out a lot of resumes, really not a good use of your time. Right now I see the averages for about every 50 resumes sent out, 50, you're getting about 1 reply. It's not good use of your time. So what you have to do is focus on quality over quantity. The number one way you're going to get a job in the market, a new job, or go to another company is a personal introduction and a personal connection. That is key. People have to do more of that. So initially what I'm going to say to you, some people are probably going to disagree, but hear me out here. Don't network. It's a waste of time. Build relationships. It's the difference. Show of hands. Would you agree that it's all about who you know? Yes? Most of you say yes. Answer is no. All that matters is who knows you. That's all that matters. On LinkedIn, everybody apparently knows everybody. When you put a phone call into them because you want a job, do they return it? No. All that matters is who knows you. So you have to build relationships. You can do that through networking, but again, you have to be focused. You have to be targeted. It's also the way you work a room. You wouldn't want to go around this room and spend your time talking for 2 minutes to every single individual, because by the end of the session, you won't have been able to drill down deeply with any one person. So you want to choose your time wisely. It's the same when you're sending out resumes or you're targeting jobs. It's very important. LinkedIn now obviously is a platform you have to understand how to use, how to be on it, what to promote, what you're saying. Messaging is everything. Words have meanings. I see a lot of people using just random, generic, high-level marketing terms to market themselves. It doesn't mean anything. Results-driven professional. We're all driven with results, but if your results stink, it's not the right wording to use. So as I mentioned in the keynote Monday morning, using words like probably, likely, usually, no concrete definition. The test I give a lot of people when I ask them what their skill sets are, what they're good at, it's incredible how many say to me, I'm great at communication. I don't say anything, I pause, I wait. When they move on to another subject, I say, actually, you're terrible. And they say, no, I'm really good. I just told you I'm good. Nope, you actually told me you're terrible. When people ask me what I strive for, I say I strive to communicate with clarity, consistency, and candor, both in writing and in person. I just told you how I communicate, when I communicate, the frequency of my communication, as opposed to someone saying, I'm great at communicating. Right? This is all about the words you use. Words have meaning. Words are very important. Less is more. It's not about how many words come out of your mouth. It's not about how many words you write down in an email. It's about the words that you pick and choose. It's getting your message across really in as few words as possible. That is the key. So on LinkedIn, what you have to do is you have to have a very clear and concise message of who you are, what you do, and what your skill set is. You cannot say you're an expert in the media industry. I don't know what that is. Media is an umbrella term. There's a lot of subsets of media. It would be the same if you said enterprise. Enterprise means a lot of different things. So on LinkedIn, you have to have a very clear elevator pitch, as we call it, right at the top. It has to be right at the top. Now, for those that don't know, LinkedIn is about to change the formatting. Right now, your about on LinkedIn is dropped down below some information. Later this year, they are going to bump up your about right underneath your picture. They've already announced it. I put it up on LinkedIn maybe about a month ago. Here are the changes that are coming. So that's going to be even more important now in terms of what your elevator pitch is, because after your photo, it's the next thing they're going to see. So on LinkedIn, what you have to do is you have to think about the words you want to choose and pick of what your specialty is. You cannot be an expert in everything, which is what everyone on LinkedIn appears to be these days. They're an expert on everything out there. So you have to have focus. When we hire, what do? We hire specialists in a particular segment inside the company. Your HR, your sales, you are engineering, your marketing, your operations. A lot of the LinkedIn profiles and resumes I see, people say they're jack of all trades, but that's not how we hire. Your budget, your salary comes out of someone's budget under a department inside a company. That's where you have to target. So it's very important how you describe who you are and what you do. So this is something I see all the time. Nobody's checking the formatting of the text that they're putting into LinkedIn because they're cutting and pasting from someplace else. This is what it looks like. So not even complete sentences that run end to end on the page. What's featured right here in this person's profile is a broken image. A lot of things don't match. This person is into AI tech marketing, but they're talking about accessibility in current affairs. Those two don't go together. So on LinkedIn, the biggest problem I see is content, broken images, broken links. The amount of emails that are incorrect on LinkedIn, I really don't understand it. I'll click on an email and it's like it's not formatted properly. It doesn't work. These are all the things that executives look at. I see a lot of people in their profiles say they pay attention to detail. But the number one thing I notice is that they didn't swap out the default gray background image on LinkedIn. I would never hire you. You didn't take 10 seconds to swap out default gray image on LinkedIn. But you have attention to detail? Doesn't match. So, what do you put on the back of your LinkedIn page as a profile? What job do you want? And if you're looking to be a data analyst, Google data analyst LinkedIn images. There you go. There's more than you could ever look at. Pick one that resonates. It's already properly formatted. Download it, upload it. Done. Now you've personalized your LinkedIn page. Headshots, make it professional. I see all kinds of headshots where people are like, you can tell they're hanging out with someone else at a bar. right? But they crop themselves. Right? It's the oddest thing to me. This isn't a dating site. This is LinkedIn, right? I don't know what's going on here. You're walking your dog, right? This is LinkedIn. Be professional. How you speak, how you present. Right? This is all really important. So start with the content. Look at it. And then what you do is print it out. What does it look like when you print it out? You have to see formatting. I get a lot of resumes from people in the industry. I notice right away if I were to print this out, everything's going to run off the page. And someone might say, well, why would you print it out? It's all digital. I print out things all the time. So do other people in the industry because I want to go through, say, 10 resumes later, or I'm on the train heading to the city and I want to be able to read something. Right? Don't think this is only a digital world. This is the number one thing I see when people are looking for a job. I'm looking for a new role and appreciate your support. Thank you for anyone who can help me. I have no idea what you do. I don't know you. I don't know where you were. I don't know what your background is. I don't know what job you're looking for. Why is anyone going to help you? You're not communicating. The problem here is communication. 9 times out of 10, you're not getting that job because you're not communicating properly. That is the key. Communicate with clarity, consistency, and candor. You have to learn to speak with intelligence, is what it comes down to, how you're presenting yourself. Some of the elevator pitches I do see again, right? This person speaks 12 languages. You're into corporate branding. Okay, chief marketing officer makes sense. Then you're also chief revenue officer, and you're also a strategy officer, but now you're in technology and media, blockchain, startup, speaker, leader, investor, board member, but you're also a turnaround expert. What are you doing? I have no idea what your specialty is. You can't be a jack of all trades. You have to specialize. I say all the time, look at the job that you want. What does that job say in monster.com? What are the skills it says you need to have? They've already told you. Go directly to the source. Don't guess. Don't listen to your friend. It's incredible right now how, with all the consolidation and mergers we've had in the industry and the content broadcast side, the amount of people that I talk to who call me say they're looking for a job, and I say, well, I looked at LinkedIn, I didn't know you were looking. You still say you work at the company you're at. No, I left 6 months ago. Well, why don't you put something up that says you're looking for a job? No, recruiters say that's terrible. It looks desperate. Whatever recruiter you're talking to, don't ever talk to them again because they don't understand the industry. Recruiters want to know you're looking for a job because the chances are if they contact you, there's a higher level, higher chance that you're going to reach out to them and reply. Why would you not tell people you're looking for a job? The number one way you're going to get it is based on the relationships you have in the industry. If people don't know you're looking, why would they help you? I don't get it. But the amount of people every single day who tell me, no, I'm not going to post on LinkedIn, that doesn't look bad. So you're telling me it looks better that you're pretending to be at a company that you already left? That doesn't look good. You're no longer there. So you have to be accurate with the information that you have on LinkedIn. That is extremely important. So start with your LinkedIn. From there, information you have on LinkedIn can go on your resume. Now, easiest way to write the resume for the new job you want is go look at 10 jobs you want. Of those 10 jobs, most of those job postings are going to use a lot of the same language, a lot of the same keywords. Those are some of the same keywords that you have to put in your elevator pitch. Your elevator pitch has to explain what you do in 15 seconds or less. Also, employers don't care what you did 10 years ago. The amount of people that list award-winning, no one cares you won an award. I'm sorry, nobody cares. It's irrelevant in getting a job. And it's amazing how many list the first thing, it's like, in 2015, here's what I did. An employer wants to know if they hire you, what can you bring to the organization tomorrow on the first day? Not what you did 10 years ago. What are the skill sets you have today to help us? That's what they want to know right away. You have to talk about what you can do right now, not what you did previously. So, first thing you have to do is you have to learn how to communicate. The only way you're going to get good at this, like anything in life, is practice. It's the only way. Does anybody know what the number one thing people are scared of? Does anybody know? Number one thing. What? Public speaking. You know what number two is? Death. Yeah. That's how much people hate public speaking. Even in any business industry you can think of. I see it all the time with executives when I deal with them. We could have a room here of, looks like we have 60 people. Let's say these are all 60 people who are VP or higher, executives you would expect to come and stand and speak. If I said, who wants to come up and recap Netflix's latest Q4 earnings and full year earnings and guidance in 2 minutes, I bet you I'd get 2 hands in our industry. That's it. Why? They don't know the numbers. They're not confident. They don't know their subject. They're uncomfortable standing and talking in front of others. They care too much what other people think. Standing and speaking is the number one way you're going to stand out from the crowd. You have to do it. If you don't like doing it, okay, don't expect to advance the way you want to. It's the reality. Standing and speaking, be able to speak intelligently and intelligibly immediately sets you aside. Immediately. And as executives who hire other executives in the space, we notice that right away. Immediately, we notice. So you have to do this. So how do you do it? How do you practice? Go to meetup.com, go to Toastmasters. Toastmasters is an organization where all over the world you can sign up. They meet in rooms like this, and you sign up to say, I'm going to come up and speak for 3 minutes in front of people you don't know. And the people in the room afterwards are going to say, okay, you said the word 17 times to start a sentence. This is what you need to do is practice. When people see me on CNBC, many think I do that to get paid. You don't get paid to go on TV. I don't know if that's like a secret people don't know, but if you see me on CNBC talking for 6 minutes, I got paid zero. I got paid nothing. No one else does either, unless you're a regular contributor. So why do I do it? I don't want the promotion. I'm not looking for business. I do it because I want to get better at my craft. What you can't see on CNBC is when you go into the stock exchange, and you're sitting there at the table, and they tell you, Dan, you're going to come on and recap Disney or Netflix earnings. That's all they tell you. I don't know the questions. I don't know what they're going to ask. I don't know who I'm talking to. You sit on the desk 30 seconds before you go live. They start asking you questions. While you're answering a question, you have an IFB in your ear from a producer telling you got 16 seconds left to finish that question before they go on to the next one. You have to smile. You have to know your numbers. You have to know Netflix had $6.92 billion of free cash flow last year, how that compares to others. You have to know all that with no teleprompter. There's 3 cameras in front of you, and the light turns red on that camera. You have to turn to that camera in real time. You might be on for 2 minutes. You might be on for 8 or 9 minutes. I do it because of the pressure. I want to get better. I want to practice. Practice. You have to learn to stand and speak. You will only be good at this and get better if you take the mental step forward. Even if you don't like it, you have to do it. I also say don't practice in front of your significant other. Because many times you'd be like, oh, you're so good. But your friends would be like, you stink. I wouldn't hire you. You need real world feedback. Right? Reality. So if you really want to advance where you are, start with learning how to speak. It's very important. When you want to tell a story, which is what getting a new job is about, right? Life is about change. When you want to tell a story, think about what you want the end result to be. You think about what the end result is that you want that person to take away, then the beginning and the middle of that story should funnel to that. When people tell stories, they tend to be too long, too drawn out. You don't want that. Less is more. But what you're talking about is change. It's important to remember. Change is inevitable. Progress is optional. They're not the same. So think about the story you want to tell and what you want that person to get out of it. Humans gravitate towards structure. Why? A lot of people don't have structure. A lot of people are okay with others showing them what it's like to have structure. That's okay. Not everybody can be in every position, high level inside a company. It's okay if that's not your goal. But you have to have structure and you have to have discipline no matter what your job is. So structure is very important. When you're thinking about telling a story, keep it short. I hear people all the time say that your story should have passion in it. No, it shouldn't. Absolutely not. Wrong. Why? Passion is emotions. And if you're emotional, you don't make the right decision. Two hardest things we have to do in life: make decisions without emotions and ask others for help. Tends to be the two hardest things. So don't make it on passion. Make it personal. Personal story is okay. Passion is not what you should be aiming for. People say all the time the word passion, I think in the wrong sentence. Many times we understand what they're saying. A lot of people say I'm very passionate for the soldiers that are here today. I always thank them and say, actually, it's not passion, it's devotion, it's dedication. If it was passion, I couldn't think clearly. It's very hard to do, obviously. So you want to think about the words you're using, and you want to make it personal. Words that end in ly, as I mentioned. Also, how you speak. When you speak, pause. You all just started to think, what was that next word I was going to say? You hung on that word. Why? I paused. Let silence amplify your message. It's not about how many words you spit out. It's not what it's about. It's about how clear and articulate you are in terms of how you communicate. So, how do you set yourself up for success? A lot of the things that I see people struggling with when it comes to getting a new job is not tied to the job itself, it's tied to the individual. First, be organized, have structure, have a schedule. I hear a lot of people say, well, I have an executive coach or this or that. I don't like a lot of things tied to executive coaching. And the reason I don't like that is when you look at who many of these coaches are, they've never worked in the business world. They've only been an executive coach. They've never hired, they've never fired, they've never raised money, they've never gone public, they've never been inside an enterprise, they've never been inside a startup. What actual real world experience do they have? They don't. They're certified in coaching. It's not what you need in most cases. I say all the time, it's not the class, it's the instructor. That's what matters. The person who's giving the class, the person who's teaching. Experience is everything. Listen to people who have experience. Don't rush to failure, as I like to call it. People without knowing, they self-sabotage themselves. They compare themselves to others. Don't do that. It's okay to compare where you are in a job versus others and where you want to go, but you have to have realistic expectations. I get resumes from people and they're targeting this job and they want $500,000 a year. But the job you're looking for pays $200,000. So you're already starting off with the wrong expectation, and no matter what happens, you're not going to be happy because it won't be the outcome that you want. So what does that mean? It means you have to understand the data of the job that you're going after. You have to know what it actually offers. It's very important. I say here in life, good people give you happiness, the worst people give you a lesson, and the best people give you memories. Tell the difference. Why do so many people give out advice when someone's looking for a job? Giving out advice is dangerous. Don't do it. Speak from your experience. It's interesting how many times when someone says they're looking for a job, all of a sudden people want to give them advice. Did you ask them for their advice? No. But they want to give it out. Well, do you have experience in the job I'm looking for in the company? No. So why are you giving out advice? It's very dangerous. Always talk from your own experience. Most people don't listen to understand. They listen to reply. It's very important to understand that. When you are in a meeting, and a lot of people like to talk and hear themselves speak, let them talk. Don't interrupt them, especially in a job interview. Let them talk. Find some common ground with them. We want to hire people that we feel we relate to. Oh, that's interesting. They're interested in some of the same things we are. They'd be great on the team. Really important. You have to understand the other person who you are in terms of who you're talking to. Everything we see is a perspective. Everything we hear is an opinion. Don't confuse the two. Facts versus opinions. Big difference. Biggest problem, I think, in our industry, as you heard on Monday when I talked, just sharing of information. Are you really happy or just comfortable? It's another thing I talk to people about. Right? They stay where they are, they're not really happy with their job, but they've been there a while, so why don't you leave? Well, I kind of already know it, this and that. Okay, but you're not happy. Right? You're just comfortable. So I don't judge anyone. Everyone has different situations individually, lifestyle you want to live, the money you have to make, family you do or don't have to support, whether you can work from home or not. Of course, there's a lot of variables. Everybody's an individual, but you have to understand what you're aiming for. I like saying an elite leader in any domain thinks the following way. Building skills, it takes time, it takes effort. You're going to invest the time, you're going to be persistent, you're going to understand that discomfort is part of the process. You don't like speaking? Okay, know that's part of the process, it's discomfort. I can stand here and talk to you all on stage today and be on CNBC in front of whatever their audience is because this is 26 or 27 years of practice. You know what the first time was, what I looked like, the first time I ever spoke in front of people in 1997? I have a video of the recording. It's horrific. I don't even know what I was saying. I don't think I did complete sentences. I was completely confused, right? It was terrible, absolutely terrible. So you have to practice. This doesn't come naturally for anybody. Even if you're a natural speaker and you like being in front of people, which I don't, I'm comfortable with it because I know my topic. I know my topic, so I'm comfortable talking about it. That's where the confidence comes. But practice is the key thing you have to do here. The mindset of someone who's getting better every day is they're going to continue to practice. And as I mentioned on Monday, the financial currency in the business world is information. What does information give you? Leverage. One of the things I always say to someone when they're looking for a job, they're going to go look at Paramount, for instance, right? A public company. And say, okay, what is something you're going to say to the person you're talking to? Did you read their public filing? No. Well, go read their 10Q. By the way, they mentioned in that they're going to invest, I'm making this up just as an example, they're going to invest $200 million in R&D in the company this year. So when you're talking to someone in an interview and they say, why do you want to work here? Well, I find it's a real interesting company and I like the fact that you're investing $200 million in R&D this year to grow the business. I guarantee you that person's going to go, we are? How do you know that? Oh, it was in the filing I read. Oh, wow, I didn't even read that. Who reads regulatory filings? Nobody. Wall Street. You should if you're looking for a job. It gives you all the information you want to know about the company. And it makes you stand out when you're talking to a recruiter or someone else on a job interview, right? What is it? It's information. What is information? Leverage. You just stood out above the crowd. If you're unhappy with your destination, throw yourself off the train. It's important. You have to understand where you're going. There's a difference between living and existing in the business world. So you have to figure out what you want to do and the path you need to get there. Communication, speaking, how you write, the words you use, these are the skill sets that we want to see in the business world. Now, I always say go directly to the source. So don't listen to me. I did a podcast with the CTO and Chief Product Officer of Warner Bros. Discovery, who run all of Max. I asked them what they're looking for when they hire employees. These are technical product people. First thing they said is, we're not looking for technical skills. We're looking for people skills. We're looking for people who are going to take responsibility for themselves for a project to deliver it on time and on budget, who can communicate clearly, who can proactively discuss why they think something in a meeting is not accurate in a professional way, who are not going to just fall back on technology every single time. Technology is not the key. I mentioned in one of the other sessions when I introduced Ben Manning from SiriusXM, if you invest in people as opposed to ideas, those are the companies that win and build the best culture. We are not in the business, as I mentioned, mundane content. We are in the business of people in every industry. And it's not about the technical knowledge you have. You have to have more than that for the job. So here's the CPO and CTO of Warner Bros. Discovery saying it. What did you hear if you heard Phil Paramount CTO on Monday. I asked him who he's looking to hire. He's the CTO. He did not start with technical skills. What did Winston say from Prime Video? Talked about the type of people. Now, Amazon's an interesting company because of the way they do their values and whatnot. But the point is, these companies are looking to build a certain culture. People are the most important aspect of the business. In the special operations community, there's a phrase, humans are more important than hardware. No matter how good the technology is, no matter how sophisticated it is, no matter how expensive it is, no matter how much it can do, even in the military, it means nothing without the person who's operating it. The human is the most important aspect of that. It's not the technology. The business world is no different. So it's very important you understand how to communicate with other people. And if you can understand this, and if you can practice this, what does this mean? This means you can teach it to others. This means within an organization, they're going to notice what you're doing and how you lead. You're going to be promoted. You're going to be put in charge of more projects, whether that's operations, whether it's finances, whether it's marketing, whatever it may be. That is how you advance inside the organization. Every single executive I've talked to, even just today and yesterday, said they like to hire and promote, they like to promote from within. Of course, it makes sense. Why wouldn't you? It's also the least expensive way to get better employees, because every time you have to go find a new employee, and many times they're using headhunters, it's $30,000 to $50,000 to find that person. It's expensive. Productivity and profitability is what we're striving for at all times. So if they can find somebody inside the organization who already knows the structure, who they don't have to pay a headhunter to find, who they're willing to give a little more responsibility to because they think they can do this and take it on, which will also help give that person more confidence inside the company, that is what's going to happen every single time. That is the key. Business rules for success, as I mentioned, it's the professor, not the class. If you feel like you don't fit in, remember that's what makes you unique. Be unique. Be unique in terms of how you talk about your skill sets, who you are and what you do. Your elevator pitch is the first place you need to start. Your very first place, throw everything else off your list. Resume, LinkedIn, your elevator pitch. If you can't do your elevator pitch in 15 seconds, what do you think your LinkedIn is going to sound like? Or your resume? Your elevator pitch, you have to have one. Now, I have an elevator pitch, but I'm not selling anything. I'm not trying to get a job. I'm not looking for a job. You should still have an elevator pitch, because when somebody runs into you and they're asking you what you do, you have to be able to explain that. As I said in the beginning, my job is to inform, educate, and empower others tied to the business and technology of streaming media. My elevator pitch is pretty simple. I'd highlight it some more and whatnot if I was looking for consulting or I was looking for more work or something of that nature. I'm not. But your elevator pitch has to be very clear. There's enormous value in simplifying. Use less jargon, fewer words, metrics, shorter lists. An executive at NBC Sports said to me once, one of the employees that I knew that he had that we were talking about, said there's two things that I've found really interesting about this individual after hiring a couple months. He said, a lot of people come to them to ask them for his opinion on their projects, but they don't report to him. I said, well, why do they do that? And he just leads by example. That's right. That's how you lead, by example. He also said, when I send out an email asking for information, this person always gives me back a properly lengthed and worded email. A lot of my employees think, I make the email longer, it looks like I know more. It's not the way you communicate. It's not clarity, consistency, and candor. So it's important that you simplify. Your actions, how you show up every day is going to define your experience more than what you studied, where you went to school, what degree that you have. Look at how many job postings right now say they want a 2-year or 4 degree or equivalent experience. The business world will take someone who has real world experience over someone who has a bunch of degrees and certs who has never applied it. every time. So that's very important. Your actions and how you show up are very important. I hear a lot of people say, I'm in a job now, I want to go to a VP, SVP, GM, whatever it may be. I need to move up the chain. Well, if you want a bigger platform, start with the one you're on. How are you showing up? How are you leading? As I say here, energy, body level, what you bring into the meeting, the data and the information you have, how you communicate, that all shows leadership. If you can show leadership, you will advance and you'll be given more opportunities inside a good organization. Now, if you're not, you move on. Good organizations that care about people will say, you've done a great job here in 3 or 4 years. I don't think, however, we're ever going to have a position where you need to go next. Those slots aren't going to open. That's not going to fill up. People who care about other people will help them get another job at another company even though they're leaving because they know it's the best thing for the advancement of their career. That is key. Those are the people you want to stick with. At the same time, in most cases, you don't want mentors. If anybody hands out a business card saying they're a mentor, run away. Run away. It's not what mentorship is about. That is not how mentorship works. Not in business, not in life. Mentorship is organic. I disclosed 5-6 years ago on my blog that I was the seed investor in a company called DataZoom. Diane Strutner, who was moderating one of the sessions earlier. I met Diane when she was running sales at a company for QOE, and she had this idea and it was tied to ad, and I was like, that's really interesting. I ran that idea by some folks I knew at Google and other places, and they said, boy, that is a hard problem to solve. We'd love for someone else to solve that. And I thought, I remember what it's like to be 25, 26, need some help, wish I knew this person, or someone could make a call on my behalf. I invested in that person, not the idea. But it was that idea of, okay, you know what? I remember what that's like. I'll help mentor you. That is mentorship. It's organic. You decide on the spot or over a period of time. You don't walk around with a business card doing mentorship. You just don't. Those are the people who don't have the experience. If you don't believe me, look them up on LinkedIn. Or everyone who's like, oh, I've written a book. Anyone can write a book these days, and most of them are self-published, which means no one's reading it and no one's bought it. It doesn't count as being an author. So look up people and what their background is. Experience is really important. Being able to disagree with someone, critique something openly, productively, constructively. We need more people inside organizations to do that. Right? This is about business. This is not about making it personal. Take your personality out of it. It's about what's best for the project. It's about what's best for the company. It's very important. You have to be able to do that. We want you to do that. And if you can't do that, that's a problem. Why can't you do that? Maybe you're not confident. Maybe you don't know enough about the project. Learn. Learn what's behind it. Learn how it works. Just because you're in the sales, marketing, product team doesn't mean you can't cross-train. Some of you spend some of your time with other silos in the organization as well. Wow, we're going to get to questions in a minute. Confidence comes from preparation, a sense of belonging, and trust. It must be built deliberately and reinforced frequently. That's what good leaders do. Good leaders don't say they're good leaders. They lead by example. That's what everybody should want to do. Lead by example. You don't have to be in charge of 2 people, 5 people, 10 people. Lead by example for yourself. But it starts with your elevator pitch. With your elevator pitch, you now have something to put on LinkedIn. Keep LinkedIn really focused. The other thing I would suggest is, thank God we live in a free country. You can put anything you want on LinkedIn. The amount of people now posting things on LinkedIn about politics, about what they think of Trump, about all kinds of stuff overseas. When I go to look at somebody, and that's the first thing I see them talking about, and it's not about business, it's really not what you want. The other thing on LinkedIn I see all the time is someone says they're an expert in something, and I look to see what they've posted. You've never posted anything in LinkedIn ever? How is that possible? So how do you do that? Well, if you don't have the time to write and look at news all day and everything, that's okay. Most people don't. Most people don't have the time to just create content all day. But here's what you do. Every week, go on LinkedIn. Find 10 articles that someone else wrote that you liked. Repush it out. with 2 to 3 sentences of a key takeaway. I found this article real interesting because I didn't realize 10% of people do this. Now, when somebody goes to look at your LinkedIn page and you say you're an expert in data analysis and QoE, and they see what you've posted, you look like what I call a player in the game. You look like you know what's going on. You look like you read all this stuff. And even if you don't, you at least know the names of the companies. You picked an interesting article. You can't be on LinkedIn with a lack of information and not sharing information. So if you don't have time to create it, if you don't feel confident in terms of how you're writing, that's okay. But people have already written a lot of great content. Just push it out, amplify it. I always look at, I wonder what that person's amplifying. They say they're really good at this or like that. Which article did they pick? Why did they pick it? Oh, interesting, they picked the same author I like. Now all of a sudden you automatically have something in common with them. It's very important. Content is how you showcase part of your expertise. Right? It goes back to information. Information is power. It's very, very important. So I want to take questions. I'll take as many as you guys want, as long as you want to stay. If people want to bounce, I understand that. That's good too. If you have follow-up questions, obviously my email and my phone number at any time. We don't need to do the mic. Thank you. Now we'll just do show of hands. If you have a question, raise it. I'll repeat it for the audience, and we'll make this simple. Questions about LinkedIn, your resume, how you communicate, which jobs we're hiring for right now, whatever you guys might want to know. Happy to answer if I know the answer. Yes, go ahead, sir.
How do you deal with the jack of all trades? When I got to Hollywood, they said, don't give a card that says you're a writer, actor, dancer, singer. Make a different card for each one, give that one to whoever you're talking to. But how do you do that on LinkedIn?
Okay, so the question here is, if you are multifaceted in terms of some of the jobs you're looking for, how do you do that on LinkedIn with focus without saying you're a jack of all trades? Well, all the professions you just list, I'll be honest, I know nothing about being an actor, producer, director, so I don't know what those jobs are and what they're looking for. But I would say the clear thing on LinkedIn that you want to do is highlight the size and scope of what you've worked on. I see a lot of salespeople saying, they're seasoned enterprise sales executive. Closing what size deals? I don't know. What size customers? No clue. Right? So maybe you talk about, you worked on a production, you talk about the size of the production, or what the budget was. Use some numbers, use some data. Give people an idea, in a sense, who are reading your LinkedIn, of the size and scope of what you worked on without going into lots and lots and lots of details. I see a lot that say they sell into enterprise companies. What's an enterprise company? If you ask Vimeo, a public company, recurring revenue in Vimeo for an enterprise customer is around $1,400 a month. That's not what most other companies consider enterprise. Most of them consider enterprise being at least $50,000 a year or more. Definitions are different. So make it clear the size and the scope of projects that you've worked on. If it's sales, put some numbers in there. Don't put in, reached 110% of my quota every year. I don't know what your quota was. Percentage numbers mean absolutely nothing. If I have $1 in my pocket now and you give me another $1, I now have 100% more than I had a minute ago. Sounds like a big number, but what's the base number we're working off of? I don't know. So less general, less broad, less high level, which is the way our industry always speaks, right? Terms like growth, but then we don't know what that means, or a company had 20% more revenue, but we don't know what you started with. So be factual. Give out actual numbers and size of what you worked on. That would be my advice. Other questions? It's a quiet last session. I thought you guys would have a lot of questions around LinkedIn at least. All right, well, if no one has any other questions, okay. Okay.
I just want to say thank you for the summit. You did a fantastic job. And also, when you close this session by focusing on helping people find jobs, very admirable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've always taken a view in the industry from day one that if you help one person, who's going to pass it on to another and whatnot, right? we're all going to benefit. The industry is going to grow. Right? That's the whole reason I put my cell phone number out, because if I help someone get a job, they're going to go. But the other thing people maybe don't realize is I'm also playing a little game here tactically. Right? If I give you out a free pass to the streaming summit because you have no job, and maybe you get a job here and you find a lot of good information, the next company you go to, what are you going to say? We should send 3 or 4 people to that streaming summit. It was real helpful last year. And maybe we should listen to Dan's blog. And I don't make any money off my blog on purpose. Right? Maybe we should consume his information. So I'm always thinking bigger picture. I say it's important in business. You should be playing chess, not checkers. And I think of that with the show as well. It's the whole reason why the keynote isn't a vendor who's willing to pay $20,000. No, because if I do that every year, you're not coming back. I wouldn't either. That's not what you're here for. So you have to think strategically. That's a good example of how I do it. So appreciate everyone's time. You have questions privately you want to come up and ask me, that's good as well. You'll get an email from me when all the archives are up. Anything else I can help you with, please let me know. Thank you.